Hello friends, Brandy here with Falcon Healing Arts. I hope you're having a beautiful day and a wonderful end to summer. As it's winding down, I thought this would be the perfect time to update you on a personal healing journey. Summer has been truly transformational for me, probably more so than any other summer season. And this is because, I don't know if you can tell, I come off differently on camera than in person, but I have lost 20 pounds. And that's a huge amount, as anyone who has tried to lose weight knows. And I'm not done yet, actually. I still have 15 more pounds I would like to lose. But I've had so many friends and clients asking me, what are you doing? And I keep saying, oh, well, you'll need to wait until fall when I'm done losing weight, and then I'll tell everyone. It's just easier to do it in a video. But I feel like I don't want to put it off. I do want to share what I'm doing so far because I think it'll really help you if you would like to do something similar, or to motivate you if there's something else that you're feeling compelled to do to help yourself heal, to help you feel whole. So it may not be losing weight, but committing to doing something else. And yeah, this journey has been about so much more than the number on the scale or how I look. So in this video, I want to talk about the deeper reason why I did this. And then I will tell you exactly what I did, probably not get into all the details. I am going to do a more thorough job covering this when I get to my goal weight. I still strive for that. And if you'd like, let me know if there's anything that I'm sharing today that you would like me to dive in deeper with. And maybe I'll even do a series on weight loss when I get to that goal weight. But yeah, I want to share exactly what I did, which is really in 2 phases. And so right now I'm in this second phase. And of course, I want to share with you the lessons I've learned so far, and then what I plan to do to maintain this, because this is a long-term game. And not even a game, not a hack. It's just returning to a state of health that is more normal. It wasn't normal to have this much weight on. I feel more freedom, and I'll get into exactly what I mean about that. Freedom on all levels, really. So the deeper why, why did I embark on this journey? I was not planning on it, but weight has been an issue with me for quite a long time. And it's probably the only thing really that I feel like I haven't mastered. There's so many other things about my health that I feel I have mastered. And weight loss has always been a little out of reach. And I won't get into my huge life story about it, but I've never been lithe. I've always had a lot of muscle, and so I weigh a lot more than I look. But I was actually in the obese category back in the end of May when I started this. So that's with BMI measurements that I was considered obese. And I would complain about that before. I'm not obese, I'm just overweight, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I do think that label does help to motivate some people because, of course, having extra weight is an inflammatory state. It can actually make other dis-ease in the body worse. And it is a worthwhile endeavor. But it does require a lot from most people. It is not easy. And so for a long time, I just didn't want to do it. I was happy enough with where I was. Body positivity is such a huge movement now that I still felt a lot of self-love. I felt attractive. I have never felt that my husband didn't like the way I looked. I still felt respected by my clients, by colleagues, still very much able to help other people in the wellness space. But I will admit, and I did tell my clients this too, that weight loss is not something I'm an expert in because it's not something I've mastered. Yes, I know what to do, but I wasn't actually following it. And when I speak that out loud, it doesn't sound good. So that was bothering me under the surface. And I knew that I was able to lose weight, that in the past when I had put myself in a calorie deficit, it would start to go off, or it would start to release. And so I was at my heaviest when I had my son. And then in 2020, when a lot of us gained weight because we weren't as active, that was my second highest weight. And I had lost about 10 pounds from there. And it has continued to go down very, very slowly. But this last year, I just noticed that it had stopped. It had completely plateaued. And to be honest with myself, I felt stuck on other layers too. So emotionally and energetically as well, I was just feeling so. And I knew that there was greater potential, a deeper layer that I could tap into. And things are different now. As I have shared on here, I've undergone a huge spiritual journey. I've always been very spiritual. Now I am very Christian and following the set of rules that go along with this faith. And I knew that that would help me in this endeavor. So I was interested to see if I could make this more than a diet and more as a sacred reset. So that is the mindset that I brought into this, and it made it a whole lot more exciting. And so I just needed to figure out how I was going to do it. Was I going to do it this slow but reliable way, slowly with the calorie deficit, or was I going to do something a little more extreme? And the latter is what I chose to do. One of my mentors, who I'm actually learning a lot of functional medicine from, she started sharing about this fat release program that she's doing. And when I first learned about it, I was like, no way, this sounds insane. Because it is a huge calorie deficit. I love food, and the idea of going into something like that felt like it was too much of a deprivation. And so when she started talking about it again, and I was coming at it from a different perspective now, what I feel is like a higher, more mature spiritual perspective, I was seeing that this wasn't deprivation, that this is really a tool, and having these guidelines would actually serve me. Having more discipline would serve me. And so I figured, why not? And I love this woman, Maria. And I will share more about her program in case you're interested in doing it. I'll put that in the description below. Also in the blog post, I will be embedding this video into. And I will share a few other tools. I actually have a weight loss section in my natural health tools page on my website now. So I'll make sure I have all those tools there for you that you could check out. So yeah, it was really just knowing that I was going into this, I had to shift my mindset that this diet was not punishment, that it was something I was exploring, that I was highly motivated to do. And I knew that I had a lot of physical support around me with my mentor, with my family, who I told I was doing this. So they wouldn't, have anything tempting around me, but also greater spiritual support too. So what I actually did, before I tell you, I want to be clear that I am not recommending this to everyone. Again, I was at this stage in my life where I felt that it was appropriate, but for some people, it may not be good, especially if you have a history of an eating disorder, any mental, emotional health issues, There's probably a few other things too I could think of. Well, of course, if you're dealing with a serious disease, like this is one of those diets you definitely want to talk to your doctor about, unless you really, really know yourself and feel that you can try it. And then tell a lot of people, like I told my family, to make sure that there's another set of eyes on you. Okay? It's not dangerous, but it could be. For someone who has a history of maybe not being as loving to their body. Okay? So what I did was the HCG diet. So HCG is a hormone that women secrete naturally when they are pregnant. So this is the hormone that is tested when you take a pregnancy test. It rises very early on in pregnancy. And I used homeopathic drops, HCG homeopathic drops, instead of the traditional method, which is injecting the full dose of the hormone into your body daily. Instead, I used highly diluted HCG drops as a homeopathic blend. Sorry, my cat's distracting me here. And this is combined with a very low calorie diet. So traditionally, it's 500 calories that you're getting a day. With Maria's program, it's 800. So still not a lot. And that's why when I first learned about this, I was like, there is no way I can do this. However, the beauty of using HCG, and by the way, this is human chorionic gonadotropin hormone. The beauty of doing this is that HCG suppresses hunger while helping you maintain lean body mass. And this is because it uses your fat as fuel. So you're not depriving your body, even though you're only bringing in these 500 to 800 calories. Your body is still using fuel from the stores that you already have. So of course, no brainer that this is another reason why you wouldn't use the diet is if you don't have a lot of fat to lose. If you are thin, you probably don't want to do this diet. So if you have plenty of fat stores, as I did, then it should be completely safe. So I was taking homeopathic HCG drops a few times a day, sticking to this strict diet of 800 calories. And this was a low carb, low fat, moderate protein diet. Still very high quality food. So you still want to make sure you're eating organic, that you're living a toxin-free lifestyle. All those things come into play still. But with this restriction on what you're consuming, okay, what you're bringing in. So that is what I did, and I did just fine. I managed my hunger. It was definitely more of an emotional process getting used to this, because at night I still wanted to snack. I was feeling hungry sometimes, and I had to push through it and just have tea instead, and then I would be fine. The key is to go to bed as soon as you feel tired, and then you're not up late and tempted to snack. And getting enough sleep will also support you in your weight loss journey. So that was probably my biggest struggle, was making sure that I stuck to an earlier bedtime. So I had this recovery overnight to help me too. The weight came off very, very quickly, very quickly. So it was like a pound a day in the beginning. And I was weighing myself daily. So not only looking at the pounds on the scale, but my scale also measures body fat. It also measures muscle and water percentage. So made sure that was stable as well. Because one of the risks of being on any diet, probably any other diet except this one, is that it's very easy to lose muscle mass, and you don't want to do that. That is your lifeline, is your muscle, your lean body mass. So we want to keep that stable. And on this diet, we don't want to be doing a lot of exercise. So I was already active. I was maintaining my ice skating schedule. So I was still skating about 3 times a week, going on neighborhood walks. I do live on a hill, so I was doing an incline. That was all completely manageable. And I was doing a little bit of strength training, but not a lot. But that would be one way that you could, I don't want to be giving you a lot of advice at this point because I'm just sharing what I did, but I'm tempted to say that if you're going to follow something else, then you would, again, want to have that strength training piece in here so you maintain that muscle mass. But with the HCG diet, I didn't have to worry about that as much. So I was tracking everything. And then I was also measuring myself once a week. So tape measure with my waist and other parts of the body. But waistline was the one thing that I was very consistent with. So I had planned to do 50 days on this diet. Of course, it is not sustainable to do this for very long. So 50 days was going to be my max, but I ended up maxing out at 35 days. I was getting extreme diet fatigue, so just being tired of doing this. I wasn't feeling as motivated. It was becoming more of an emotional struggle. Calories were starting to creep up. I was saying, oh, I was more active today, so I'm going to eat more. And that's when weight was starting to stall. And I had a trip coming up, so I just decided this is a good time to stop and I'll just resume this again. So right before we went on a family trip, I went off the HCG. It takes about 3 days for it to completely leave the system. Even these micro amounts with this homeopathic blend, you still want to give your body ample time to flush that out. And then I was bringing my calories up, especially more fat, up to maintenance calories, which for me was between about 1,800 to 2,000, closer to 2,000. But you want to get there very slowly. That is one of the risks of this diet, is that if you do it too quickly, it's just going to mess with your metabolism and you may gain weight back very quickly. And I did not want to do that after going through all this work. So even though I did ramp it up more quickly than I intended, I was still weighing myself daily and stayed within a 2-pound range of fluctuation. So that was also a very good sign that I was metabolically flexible. So 2 thumbs up with that. I stayed at maintenance calories, so I was still tracking, but this is like a good amount of calories where I felt honestly satiated. So I still needed to watch the tendency to snack, but it was totally sustainable. But then I started getting frustrated that, yeah, I'm at maintenance, I'm comfortable, but I'm not done. And I want to do more. I can bring the discipline back in. That's all I need here is a little more discipline and I can do it. So it was just a week ago that I started doing this again. And I was also trying to weigh the options of doing the HCG diet again, which is safe to do as long as you have a good 3 weeks to, it's probably better to have 6 weeks in between, 6 weeks at the maintenance calories. So again, your metabolism adjusts again, and then you deprive your body, and that makes a switch in your brain and in your body so that you're able to burn fuel differently. But I didn't want to rely on that completely. So now I am in my phase 2 of my weight loss journey, and I am doing it the slow, stable way again. So I'm still getting a lot of fat, which I was really missing doing the stricter HCG diet in the beginning. But now I am trying to stick to about 1,600 calories. But now that I am lighter, I'm feeling really great in my body. I have enough fuel. I have really, really bumped up my activity level. So now I am a member of the gym that's just right up the hill. So it's part of my walk that I walk up to the gym, do a half hour to 45 minutes of strength training. I did 4 sessions, really 5 sessions, because the first was an assessment with a personal trainer. Again, with that too, it's great to have another set of eyes, someone telling you what you could be working on more that you may not be aware of. And surprisingly to me, he was saying more upper body, even though I thought I should just focus on lower body. And my trainer is also a hockey player, so the perfect fit for me, that he knew exactly what my body needed. And so I brought that into my routine. I'm also doing weekly sprint sessions on Sundays. So in just a couple of hours, I'm going to change my clothes, and I've been alternating with doing running sprint sessions and jump rope sprinting. So I'm doing jump rope tonight, which is one of my favorite exercises. And it's not something you can do for a long time anyway, so I love doing it with a sprinting approach. So just like 30 seconds to a minute of hardcore jumping, and then resting until my heart rate goes way down again, and then resuming and doing a few cycles of this. So you can tell that I'm like excited about the activities I'm doing, and that is really, really important too. If this is something that you decide to do, you need to make sure that you are motivated and it's something that you're enjoying. Okay, so let me just look at my notes again. And then I'm getting back into ice skating. I haven't been doing as much because there have been camps going on at my local rink. So we'll be getting back into that in 2 weeks. But I've still been going just once a week, and I have been feeling a lot stronger. And like my confidence is increasing when I'm on the ice as well. Not being as heavy, it's not as big of a deal when you fall. Like things like that can mess with your mind when you have more weight. So I am feeling some freedom with that too. Okay, so a point that I am trying to make very solid here is that even though I lost a lot of weight quickly, especially in the beginning, this was not an overnight transformation. This still required a lot of intention. This was very layered. I was fully committed to this process, very aware of my hormone levels, what was happening with my metabolism. And keep in mind, I'm being honest with you too, I am 52 years old in late perimenopause, where I'm starting to skip periods. So menopause is just on the horizon for me. And we women hear so much about how difficult it is to lose weight when you enter and when you're past menopause. And that may be true, that it's more difficult, but it is not impossible. It's actually just easier to keep weight on. Your body is not as flexible when you're in this stage. So it may feel like you're gaining weight, even though you're doing everything that you used to do. But it's that the body is not as flexible. It's not as, it's harder for it to manage any abuse that you might be giving it. So we can get more into that in a separate video too, if you want to get into that. Not any judgment. We all have that self-talk and have a lot of excuses. And I've had this too, because I do have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. It's a thyroid condition. It is known to be an issue for a lot of women who have extra weight. But here I was still able to do it, and I actually think my thyroiditis is in remission again, because I have brought it in remission in the past. And you know how I can tell is that my eyebrows, I actually did darken them up a little bit before I came, when I was putting on makeup for this video, but I haven't been darkening them as much as I usually do, and that's because I have more eyebrow hair. And the outer edges of the eyebrows become more sparse when we have hypothyroidism. So I was seeing changes like this too, which were really motivating. Okay, so that's one thing I've learned so far, is that all these things that we're hearing about are the weight loss struggles that we have as we age, as we enter different stages in our lives, are not necessarily true. They just require a different approach and may require more discipline and doing things differently. But here's a few other things that I learned. Structure is not restrictive. It is supportive. So having more guidelines for me meant that I had more choices within this range. So I was still able to eat the foods that I wanted to eat as long as they fit within this calorie amount and within these macros. And it wasn't as confusing. So it was easier for me to plan my meals, and that felt free to me. Being organized feels more free. When I am not organized and when I'm guessing and when I eat a certain way and I'm just hoping that was okay, that does not feel as free to me. And so yeah, structure is supportive. It is welcoming, and I fully appreciate it. Also, discipline can be gentle when it is rooted in love. So this is the same approach I was using with myself as I would with teaching my son something, making sure that he has guidelines. And this is actually something I'm working with him a lot on right now as he's getting older. As a teen, I want him to have greater discipline around how he's caring for his body, how he's caring for his space, especially since he's going to be driving soon. Of course, he needs to follow certain rules to keep himself safe. So discipline helps us be safe in the world and in our bodies. It adds to health when we follow certain guidelines. Another thing is that tracking and data are tools, not punishments. Because I know in the beginning, I didn't like tracking my meals, but now I really appreciate all the data. I'm kind of geeky that way. Carb Manager is the app that I use on my phone. It's really easy. Most of the foods I eat are in the app, so it's really easy to find it or to scan the barcode if I am eating something that's packaged. But a lot of the whole foods are in there, and then they stay in your history and are really easy to bring in as you're adding your meals up for the day. So again, we just need to shift our mindset around some of these things, and I think they're fun. Using my Aura Ring too is a lot of fun to get this data and see how my body's changing. And actually, I do want to add that since I started doing the sprinting sessions, my Aura Ring is saying that my heart health has improved dramatically. So I've got 2 notices so far that have said, there's a new trend, there's a new trend. So that is really awesome. And then the last thing is that faith makes a huge difference. And this probably needs its own video to dive deeper into, but it goes along with the discipline that that the guidelines that we live as Christians especially are there to help us be safe, to help us be healthy in body, heart, mind, and spirit. And also that supportive piece as well. So one thing that I reflected on quite a lot was that emotional overeating, I mean, this is part of gluttony, one of the 7 deadly sins. It was also about taking in way more than I needed, so related to greed. And so being really honest about with these reflections too was really helpful, because I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to be gluttonous. not just to be the perfect Christian or whatever, but there's no need to be gluttonous means that you are putting way too much food in the body. It is burdening the body. The extra weight that you're adding on is burdening the body. This is considered a sin for a reason, because we're not aligned with God and with our best interest. Okay? So again, I don't want to get big into that, but there's that piece, the guidelines, what is appropriate or not, but then also just knowing that we have this huge loving presence watching over us all the time and joining us on this journey. I was very mindful of that, bringing more prayer into my meals, being very intentional with that too, that I was feeding this vessel that I was given to spend my lifetime in, and really honoring my body that way. So I've learned that it's possible to treat yourself with deep care, to be strategic and still stay aligned with my heart. Huge life lessons as I went through this journey. So what is next, friends? Well, I plan to keep going, again, slowly, mindfully at this pace. It should be late fall, hopefully by December, because I actually did commit to doing an ice skating performance / competition, and that's around Christmas time. So yeah, I'm hoping to feel really comfortable in a ice skating outfit. I've never done this before. So I just think that it might be easier than being a little lighter, fitting into one of those outfits. Of course, I continue to support my metabolism, especially as I'm entering menopause. So fun. So far, it's been okay, just a little weirdness with certain things, but not bad. And then nervous system regulation, managing stress, managing my sleep. These are things that I've needed to work on for a long time. Of course, gut healing is a huge part of that, and we're going to be talking about that more next as we do a back to school series. So gut health for kids and their parents, whole family gut healing. And then also spiritual connection. That will continue to be an emphasis for me in my life, and I will continue to share that with you. So I hope this has been interesting for you, friends. Again, I hope that this motivates you. If weight loss is something that you're interested in, this may give you some ideas of what you'd like to try. You can check out that weight loss section of my natural tools page on my website. I'll have some links in the description below if you want to check out my mentor's weight loss program as well. And then if you feel like you need to heal on some level and you're just not sure where to start, I recently created a quiz, which is really fun to take. It's very accurate, and it'll let you know if you should start with your body, with your emotions, or on the energetic and spiritual level. And I can help you with all of those entry points. So let me know, friends, if you need help with that. Let me know if there's something that you'd like me to dive in deeper about in future videos, especially with this subject, since I will be doing it again in the fall. So thank you so much for listening. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Take care.